The unexpected alliance. The vast emptiness of space stretched before Captain Ilara Voss as she stood on the bridge of the UESS Defiant. Earth's most advanced warship hung in geosynchronous orbit above the colony world of Proxima Centauri b, its sleek hull gleaming under the light of the distant alien sun. Ilara's steel-gray eyes reflected the holographic displays surrounding her command chair, each one blinking with urgent updates from the colony below. "Status report," she said, her voice carrying the weight of 15 years in Earth's unified space defense force. Lieutenant Commander Riza Khalid, her XO and oldest friend, stepped forward. "Evacuation is at 70%, Captain. But our long-range scanners have picked up something concerning." Ilara felt a chill run down her spine. The Chiron. Yes, a fleet of at least 30 vessels, approaching from the direction of the Rigel system. They'll be here in less than 6 hours. The bridge fell silent. For the past 18 months, the mysterious Chiron Armada had been methodically destroying human outposts and colonies along the outer rim. No one knew what they wanted or why they had targeted humanity. The few survivors of their attacks described ships that seemed to absorb energy weapons, making Earth's most advanced defenses useless against them. "We need to accelerate the evacuation," Ilara said, her mind racing through options. "And we need to buy them time." "Captain," Communications Officer Lu Wei interrupted, her fingers dancing across her console. "We're detecting an unknown vessel approaching from the opposite vector of the Chiron. It's not matching any known configuration in our database." "Put it on screen." The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a ship unlike anything Ilara had ever seen. It appeared almost crystalline in structure, with geometric patterns that seemed to shift and flow across its translucent hull. "Are they responding to hails?" "Yes, Captain. They're transmitting on all standard frequencies. The universal translator is processing now." The screen changed to reveal a humanoid figure with silver-blue skin and large, pupilless eyes. Delicate, filament-like structures extended from where hair would be on a human, moving gently as if underwater. "Greetings, humans of the vessel Defiant." The being spoke, its voice melodious despite the translation. "I am Ambassador Xol of the Arxin Collective. We come seeking alliance against our mutual enemy." Ilara stepped forward. "I am Captain Ilara Voss. You refer to the Chiron. Indeed, they have destroyed 17 of our worlds. We have tracked them to your sector. They will not stop with your colony. They seek something far more valuable. And what would that be? Earth itself, or more specifically, what lies beneath its surface." Within the hour, Ambassador Xol and 2 other Arxians had transported aboard the Defiant. Chief Science Officer Dr. Samantha Park escorted them to the conference room where Ilara and her senior staff waited. The Arxians moved with fluid grace, their translucent skin revealing complex circulatory systems glowing with subtle bioluminescence. Despite their alien appearance, there was something undeniably intelligent and empathetic in their large eyes. "The Chiron are not what you think." Sol began, activating a holographic projector that displayed a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy. "They are not conquerors in the traditional sense. They are harvesters." "Harvesters of what?" Dr. Park asked. "Exotic matter. Specifically, the rare isotope you call element 310. Your scientists have barely begun to understand its properties, but the Chiron have built their entire civilization upon it. Their ships, their weapons, their very bodies have been modified to harness its power." Ilara frowned. "Element 310 was only discovered on Earth 3 years ago. We've barely begun to study it. Yet your planet contains the largest deposit in the known galaxy," Sol explained. "The Chiron detected it, and they will not stop until they have extracted every gram, even if it means destroying your world in the process." "That's why their ships absorb our energy weapons," Reza realized. "They're converting the energy using principles similar to element 310. "Precisely. Another Arxian scientist named Talon confirmed. Our civilization developed technology based on crystalline computing and biological interfaces. We posed no threat to them, yet they destroyed our worlds to harvest the small deposits we had discovered. Our pacifist principles prevented us from developing effective countermeasures. Sol added, a note of regret in their melodious voice. But you humans, your species possesses something unique. And what's that? Ilara asked. An incredible capacity for warfare, combined with unpredictable creativity. Your technology may seem primitive to many spacefaring races, but you approach problems differently. The Chiron cannot anticipate what they have never encountered. Ilara studied the Arxian for a long moment. You're suggesting an alliance? Yes, we provide the intelligence. Everything we know about Chiron technology and tactics. You provide what we cannot, the will and the means to fight. 6 hours later, long-range sensors confirmed what they already knew. The Chiron fleet had arrived. 36 vessels of varying sizes, with one enormous mothership at their center. Each ship resembled a series of overlapping obsidian plates, absorbing rather than reflecting light. They're deploying smaller vessels, Reza reported. Attack formation. Ilara took a deep breath. Begin Phase 1. On her command, the Defiant and 3 other human warships that had rushed to aid the evacuation moved into position around the colony. Meanwhile, the Arxian vessel disappeared behind Proxima's largest moon, concealed by a sophisticated cloaking technology they had shared with the humans. All ships, weapons hot, but hold fire until my command, Ilara ordered. The Chiron approached with eerie precision, their formations mathematically perfect. No communication attempts, no warnings. Just the silent, inexorable advance of a predator confident in its superiority. They're in range, Captain, Weapons Officer Commander Jackson reported. Hold, Ilara said, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. Wait for it. The lead Chiron vessels fired first, streams of dark energy that seemed to bend light around them. But instead of hitting the human ships, they encountered something unexpected. A network of specially modified satellites that the colonists had used for weather control. Now, Ilara commanded. The satellites activated, releasing powerful electromagnetic pulses, not directly at the Chiron ships, but creating a complex interference pattern in the space between them. It was Dr. Park's idea, based on information from the Arxians about the Chiron's neural communication systems. The effect was immediate. Several smaller Chiron vessels lost formation, their movements becoming erratic. It's working, Reza said, unable to keep the surprise from his voice. Their coordination is disrupting. All ships, open fire. Conventional weapons only, Ilara ordered. Railroad guns and physical projectiles, technology centuries old by galactic standards, launched from the human vessels. The Chiron, evolved to counter energy weapons, had no special defenses against simple kinetic impacts. 3 of their smaller ships were crippled immediately. But the victory was short-lived. The Chiron mothership emitted a pulse of its own, and suddenly their smaller vessels regained coordination. They're adapting, Dr. Park warned, just as the Arxians said they would. Then we move to Phase 2, Ilara replied. All ships execute Maneuver Theta. The human vessels split apart, each taking a different vector, drawing the Chiron fleet into pursuit. Meanwhile, beneath the colony's surface, engineers had been working frantically to modify the mining equipment based on Arxian specifications. As the battle raged in orbit, Ilara received the signal she'd been waiting for. Colony Control reports they're ready, Captain, Liu announced. Tell them to execute. Deep within the mines of Proxima Centauri B, the modified equipment activated, sending a specific frequency resonating through the small deposit of element 310 that had been discovered there months earlier. The signal propagated through space, reaching the concealed Arxian vessel. Ambassador Xol reports successful reception of the signal, Liu said. Their systems are calibrating now. Ilara nodded. And the evacuation? 96% complete. The last transports are launching now. Good, because we're about to make the Chiron very angry. The Defiant shuddered as it took a direct hit from one of the larger Chiron vessels. Damage reports flooded in, but Ilara remained focused on the tactical display. "Draw them closer to the moon," she ordered. "Make them think we're making a last stand there." The Defiant and the remaining human ships pulled back, appearing to retreat toward Proxima's moon. The Chiron followed, exactly as planned. "They're in position," Reza confirmed. "All ships accounted for." Ilara took a deep breath. "Signal the Arxians. It's time." From behind the moon, the Arxian vessel emerged, but dramatically transformed. Its crystalline structure now pulsed with energy patterns, matching the frequency from the colony's element 310 deposit. The Arxians had explained that while they couldn't create weapons to fight the Chiron, they could create a beacon that would be irresistible to them, mimicking a massive element 310 deposit. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The entire Chiron fleet pivoted toward the Arxian ship, as if drawn by an irresistible force. "It's working," Dr. Park said in awe. "Their harvesting instinct is overriding their tactical programming." "Now comes the hard part," Ilara said grimly. "All ships, prepare for Phase 3. This is where we find out if humans really are as unpredictable as the Arxians believe." As the Chiron fleet surged toward what they perceived as an enormous element 310 deposit, the human ships moved into new positions. The plan was desperate, possibly suicidal, but it was the only option they had. "All hands," Ilara announced shipwide. "Prepare for gravitational slingshot maneuver on my mark. May whatever gods you believe in watch over us all." Defiance against all odds. The Chiron mothership hung in space like a dark star, its obsidian plates shifting and realigning as it processed the sudden appearance of the Arxian vessel. Around it, the smaller Chiron ships moved with predatory precision, forming a hemisphere that would soon enclose their target. Aboard the UESS Defiant, Captain Ilara Voss watched the tactical display with unwavering concentration. Everything hinged on timing now, and on whether their hastily constructed theory about Chiron psychology was correct. "The Arxian vessel is maintaining position," Lieutenant Commander Reza reported. "Their signal output is stable." "And the Chiron?" Ilara asked. "Exactly as Ambassador Xol predicted. They're so focused on what they perceive as an element 310 motherlode that they're ignoring us almost completely." Dr. Park spoke up from her science station. "Captain, I'm detecting energy buildups in the Chiron fleet. I think they're preparing their harvesting technology." "Perfect," Ilara said, though nothing about their situation truly deserved that word. "All ships, prepare for synchronized attack. Remember, we get one shot at this." The plan was audacious to the point of madness. While the Arxian ship acted as bait, projecting a frequency that mimicked a massive element 310 deposit, the human vessels would exploit the brief window when the Chiron deployed their harvesting technology. According to the Arxians, this was the only moment when the Chiron ships would be truly vulnerable, as they had to temporarily reconfigure their defensive systems to extract the exotic matter they craved. "Energy readings spiking," Dr. Park announced. "Harvesting protocols initiating across the Chiron fleet. All ships," Ilara commanded, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "Execute attack pattern Omega. Now." The Defiant and its 3 sister ships broke from their holding positions, engines burning hot as they accelerated toward precise coordinates around the Chiron fleet. Each human vessel carried a modified nuclear warhead, technology so ancient by galactic standards that the Chiron had likely never encountered it in combat. Approaching insertion point, Reza called out, 10 seconds to synchronize detonation." The bridge was silent, every officer focused on their duties. Ilara thought briefly of Earth, of green forests and blue oceans that most of her crew had not seen in years. If they failed here, those would be the next targets of the Chiron's insatiable hunger. 5 seconds. 4, 3. A blinding flash erupted from the port side as one of their sister ships, the UES Dauntless, exploded. 3 Chiron vessels had broken from the harvesting formation, their weapons tearing through the human warship before it could deploy its payload. "Dauntless is gone," Liu reported, her voice tight with grief. "No survivors detected." "The Chiron are redirecting," Dr. Park warned. "They're adapting faster than we anticipated." Ilara's mind raced. The synchronized detonation was essential. Their warheads needed to explode simultaneously at specific points around the Chiron fleet to create the gravitational shear effect the Arxians had theorized might disrupt their ship's exotic matter containment. "New plan," she said, her decision immediate. "All remaining vessels converge on the following coordinates." She input the location directly into the tactical system. "We'll concentrate our attack on the mothership's harvesting aperture." "Captain," Reza objected, "that puts us directly in their kill zone. The Defiant wasn't built for that kind of punishment." "No human ship was," Ilara agreed grimly. "Signal the Arxians. Tell them to prepare for emergency extraction of our crew if this works." The remaining 3 human ships altered course, accelerating toward the massive Chiron mothership. More of the smaller Chiron vessels broke formation, moving to intercept. "Multiple targeting locks," Jackson reported from tactical. "Evasive maneuvers." "Negative," Ilara replied. "Maintain course. All power to forward shields." The Defiant shuddered violently as the first Chiron attack struck. Warning klaxons blared, and damage reports flooded in from all decks. "Hull breach on Deck 4, an engineering officer called out. "Emergency force fields holding, but structural integrity is compromised." Another impact rocked the ship, sending several bridge officers tumbling from their stations. Ilara gripped her command chair, refusing to be dislodged. "Distance to target," she demanded. 8,000 kilometers in closing," Reza answered, blood trickling from a cut on his forehead. "The UES Valiant has been hit. They're losing power but still with us. The Shanghai is maintaining formation on our starboard. The Chiron mothership is fully committed to its harvesting sequence," Dr. Park reported, her voice rising with urgency. "Its defensive systems are realigning. If we're going to strike, it has to be now." Ilara opened a channel to the remaining ships. "All vessels, this is Captain Voss. Prepare to deploy payloads on my mark. Whatever happens next, it has been my highest honor to serve with you all." The acknowledgments came in quick succession. First from the Shanghai, then, after a worrying delay, from the damaged Valiant. 3,000 kilometers, Reza counted down. 2,000. 1,000. "Mark," Ilara commanded. The 3 human warships simultaneously launched their modified warheads. At the same instant, the Defiant's engines cut out, a malfunction caused by cumulative battle damage. The ship began to tumble, throwing off their carefully calculated trajectory. "Engines not responding," the helmsman shouted. "We're drifting into the detonation zone. All hands, brace for impact," Ilara ordered, knowing it would make little difference. On the view screen, she watched their warheads converge on the massive aperture that had opened on the Chiron mothership, the harvesting mechanism that would normally extract element 310 from planets and asteroids. 2 made it through, but the third, the Defiant's own payload, struck the edge of the aperture instead of the center. What happened next defied all expectations. The warhead detonated, but instead of simply damaging the mothership's structure, it triggered a cascade reaction with the ship's exotic matter containment systems. The mothership's harvesting beam, already activated and focused on the Arxian vessel, suddenly inverted, drawing energy not from its target but from its own power core. "Captain," Dr. Park exclaimed, staring at her readings in disbelief. "The warhead impact has created some kind of resonance effect. The mothership is trying to harvest its own element 310 power source." The Chiron mothership convulsed, dark energy arsing across its surface. The obsidian plates that formed its hull began to separate and drift apart, revealing a blinding core of energy beneath. "Get us out of here," Ilara ordered. "Any power to engines. Now." No response from engineering, Reza reported. "We're still drifting." The bridge fell silent as they watched the mothership's death throes. The smaller Chiron vessels were scattering, some attempting to flee, others spinning out of control as if their guidance systems had failed. "Incoming transmission from the Arxian vessel," Liu announced. On screen, Ilara commanded. Ambassador Xol's face appeared, their expression urgent even to human eyes. "Captain Voss, your ship is in grave danger. The mothership's collapse will create a subspace rupture in approximately 40 seconds. We are moving to assist." Before Ilara could respond, the view screen changed to show the Arxian vessel accelerating toward them, its crystalline structure pulsing with energy. "They're extending some kind of tractor beam," Reza reported. "They're trying to pull us clear." The Defiant shuddered again, but this time not from damage. A soft blue light enveloped the ship, and slowly they began to move away from the disintegrating Chiron mothership. "The Shanghai reports they're clear of the danger zone," Liu said. "The Valiant." No response from the Valiant. Ilara closed her eyes briefly. Another ship lost, more lives sacrificed. But they had discovered something crucial, a weakness in what had seemed an invincible enemy. 20 seconds to subspace rupture, Dr. Park warned. The Arxian vessel strained, its crystalline structure visibly flexing as it pulled the much larger human warship. Their progress seemed agonizingly slow, the distance from the mothership growing by mere hundreds of meters when they needed kilometers. "Divert all remaining power to the Arxian tractor connection," Ilara ordered. "If we can strengthen the link from our end." Engineers worked frantically, rerouting power from life support, weapons, everything non-essential. The blue glow intensified, and their velocity increased. 10 seconds. 9. 8. "We're not going to make it," Reza said quietly. Ilara refused to accept it. "Arxian vessel, release us. Save yourselves. That's an order." "That is not our way, Captain Voss," Ambassador Xol replied calmly. "Together, or not at all." 3, 2, 1. The Chiron mothership collapsed in on itself, then exploded outward in a shockwave of exotic energy. The wave caught both ships, tumbling them end over end through space. Emergency lighting failed on the Defiant, plunging the bridge into darkness broken only by the glow of a few emergency displays. Ilara lost consciousness as her head struck the arm of her command chair. She awoke to the sound of life support systems rebooting and the red glow of emergency lighting. Groaning, she pulled herself up, taking in the scene around her. The bridge was a disaster of fallen panels and damaged equipment. Several officers lay wounded, while others were already tending to them. "Report," she croaked, her throat dry. Reza limped over, his uniform torn and bloodied. "We made it, Captain." "Barely. The Arxians, their ship took the brunt of the shockwave. They're intact but heavily damaged." "The Chiron." "The mothership was completely destroyed. The remaining vessels are in disarray, some destroyed, others drifting without power." He managed a grim smile. Dr. Park was right. The resonance effect cascaded through their fleet. Those that weren't destroyed have lost their central coordination. Ilara nodded slowly, wincing at the pain in her neck. "Survivors. Still accounting for all hands. We lost approximately 20% of the crew. The Shanghai reports similar casualties." "And the Valiant?" Reza's expression fell. "No survivors. They were too close to the mothership when it collapsed." Ilara closed her eyes, honoring their sacrifice silently. Then she straightened, ignoring the pain that shot through her body. "Open a channel to the Arxian vessel." The view screen flickered to life, showing Ambassador Xol. The Arxian appeared injured, silver-blue fluid leaking from a wound on their face. But they were alive. "Captain Voss," Sol greeted her. "Your species' reputation for unpredictability was not exaggerated. What you achieved today was thought impossible." At great cost, Ilara replied soberly. Yes, but not in vain. The resonance effect you discovered, the vulnerability in their harvesting technology. This knowledge will save countless worlds. Sol bowed their head. The Arxian Collective will share this discovery with all threatened species. The Chiron can be defeated. Not defeated, Ilara corrected. Not yet. But we found their weakness, and will be ready when they come again. 3 weeks later, the damaged but proudly functioning Defiant led the way as a joint human-Arxian fleet returned to Earth. News of their victory had spread quickly, bringing hope to colonies that had been preparing for evacuation. More importantly, the Arxians had shared their advanced technology freely, honoring the alliance that had saved both their peoples. On the bridge of the Defiant, Ilara stood with Ambassador Sol as the blue jewel of humanity's homeworld came into view. My people once believed we were alone in our principles, Sol said softly. We thought pacifism was the only moral path, despite the cost. Your people have shown us another way. And your people have shown us that advanced technology doesn't have to come at the expense of wisdom, Ilara replied. Together, we might actually survive in this galaxy. Sol's large eyes blinked slowly. More than survive, Captain Voss. The Chiron are but one of many threats among the stars. Yet now, for the first time, I believe there is genuine hope, not because of superior weapons or technology, but because of what your species brings to the equation. And what's that? The one thing the Chiron could never anticipate or counteract. Sol turned to her, their expression solemn. Humanity. As the Defiant settled into orbit around Earth, Ilara knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy had underestimated humans, their resourcefulness, their tenacity, their refusal to submit even in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. The Chiron had learned that lesson at terrible cost, and they would not be the last.